Welcome to another episode of Sword of the Stars, the End of Flesh. In this episode, we will live the life of the sovereignty of man between the turns 635 to 685. You may have noticed that a vessel is being designed. It is a new class of vessel that relies on an electromagnetic pulse torpedo as its main mission weapon. As you will see, this ship is being developed as the war against the games machine continues to wage. This type of torpedo is very effective against the Loa, so a prototype of this type of cruiser is in good order. Speaking of good order, the general war on the Loa front is going exceptionally well. The sovereignty of man continues to be on the offensive, now focusing our efforts in a new star system named Zeta Tekune. A major Loa presence is located there, and Admiral Lynn Bentham and Admiral Kaj Blake embark on an invasion to root the games machine out of the system. If you have been following the series since the beginning, then you know that early in the sovereignty's existence, we have waged this war before with the Loa. However, this second war between the games machine and mankind is quite unique from those early times. We are on board the Mesadiah, which is the flagship of this front. Lynn Bentham takes the Nirvana's Revenge fleet into standard formation behind this mighty vessel. Using the battleship as the tip of the spear, her initial thrust is designed to clear any enemy Olari from defending the planetary course. As you can see, it is performed to textbook standards. The Mesadiah is quite beautiful to behold, and the entire fleet enjoys the sight of Her Majesty as she goes to work in the field of battle. Oh, the San Diego, a logistical vessel and veteran of many engagements. No one on board this vessel expects to be in frontline combat, and the Mesadiah charges forward into the battle against the expression of Father Ogun that is orbiting this planetary core. Yet, Olari Okoto Dalai has a plan to catch Lynn Bentham and the Nirvana's Revenge fleet in a hammer and anvil maneuver. This places the San Diego to fight for dear life as her captain desperately calls for fleet support. Upon seeing that the San Diego's call for help and support are being ignored by the Admiral in favor of the primary target, the captain, with nerves of steel, turns about and engages the entire Olari fleet in an attempt to harass them for time. The Olari is confused and hesitant by this brazen confrontation by such a minor combat vessel. So instead of bringing down the hammer, the Loa fleet engages in a flanking maneuver instead. This buys the San Diego precious moments, and with those moments, impresses upon the rest of the fleet the importance of the fleet support concerning this particular engagement. The situational report is clear, and the gravity of the situation is not lost on Admiral Lynn Bentham. She rallies the entire fleet to disengage the Nanchon expression and places full power to engines in an attempt to aid the San Diego's dire position. The captain of the San Diego maneuvers in the battlefield with precision, always making the right calls and always at the right time. When the flagship and fleet arrives, the San Diego just quietly takes her place within the fleet formation as if there was never any real danger. The entire Nirvana 3 fleet honor the courage the San Diego and her crew has as they successfully push back the Alari and foil the Loa's battle plans. Admiral Kaj Blake and the Soldiers of Perdition take command in the second phase of this invasion. It seems that the war against the games machine is becoming routine somehow. Never is the Sovereign Navy under any real danger, and the parade of battle grinds away the Loa's presence as they slowly recede from the systems that mankind assaults. Zeta Tucone is no different. The pomp and circumstance is a spectacle, of course, to behold, but battle is just as mundane to the Sovereign Navy as going to work and doing a job. Is this a testament to the sovereignty of man's efficiency in martial endeavors? There is not much to say about this phase of the battle that is not fully expressed by the pictures presented here. So I will talk a little bit about sovereign society. There is in fact two distinct aspects of the sovereignty of man. The war seen here is being waged along a province called the Frontier. Since the days of the Starkiller, there really has not been a star node that connects the frontier provinces and systems from the central provinces and systems. Although both the central and the frontier provincial systems work in tandem, each society's military structure, trade, and governance have been quite independent from one another. It can be similar to the Roman Empire of late antiquity. To reflect this fact, the capital system of the central provinces is Seoul, while the capital system of the frontier provinces is Arendelle. Both systems house a sector command station that is fully upgraded, each with their own high command staff. This is also true concerning each having a fully upgraded sector economic trade station. It takes an average of about 45 turns to traverse a ship between the two provinces, so clearly this adaptation to the Starkiller event was born from necessity. The offensives against the Loa along the frontier front are going well and in orderly fashion. Morale is high, and the sovereign military complex is seen as an engine of valor and might, unassailable to any threat placed against it. Formality, tradition, courage, and tales of heroism propagate thoroughly among the citizens in the frontier. Many believe that the Loa pose no threat and that the war will be concluded, at which time the citizens of the game machine come to their senses, or when they are crushed completely. So far, we have focused on the imperial spectrum of the sovereignty of man. However, the sovereign political spectrum of man makes great strides and victories that secures the sovereignty's place among the stars. Diplomacy with our ancient foes, the Liir of the Sleepless, as well as the Moriggi Tuathal of the Jade Wing, proves to be a difficult task. Negotiations bring positive results despite this difficulty, and mankind slowly learns to understand these other galactic species with respect. and they as well for mankind. The Solka, on the other hand, feel the wrath of the sovereign subterfuge. Extensive espionage networks tirelessly try to undermine the fabric of the society that is the species. This new aspect of sophistication from the sovereignty brings a new level of the grand game. And this results in a new respect from the other species as mankind struggles over his own sovereign place in the galaxy. The Sulka of the devoted are a conundrum for the sovereignty of man. The Prester Zul are those Sulka that split from the devoted long ago and live among the Liir. Oddly, they seem to have a version of human Christianity that their society follows. The Sleepless society is full of mystery, as it unveils itself. Through diplomacy with the Prester Zul and Liir, the sovereignty of man learns that their war with the devoted is not just a war. Rather, it is nothing less than a jihad. At this time, the second battle for Zeta Takane begins. Although the Frontier Sovereign Navy is formidable, supply lines and logistical needs stretch thin as the offensives delve deeper and deeper into Loa territory. Thus, it takes a couple of attempts to fully drive the games machine from any system, giving the Loa ample time to regroup for the defense. On this second attempt, however, the new prototyped Disruptor electronic magnetic post-torpedo cruiser is brought to the field, and she proves her worth. The Tsukuba sends a clear message to Alari Okoto Delai. The Frontier Sovereign Navy's juggernaut will not be stopped. Feeling the sting of this new weapon completely shocks the Alari as Admiral Lynn Bentham rains destruction down from the battleship dreadnought Mesudaya. It is clear that the Loa fleet is especially vulnerable to this attack, and consistently being short-circuited and rebooted leaves the games machine defenseless against the Frontier Sovereignty naval firepower. Admiral Lynn Bentham evaluates the Tsukuba's situational combat effectiveness and informs the Frontier Sovereign Naval Command that more cruisers of this type will clearly increase the FSN's ability to project force upon the Loa. Desperately, Olari Okoto Delai focuses his fire upon the Tsukuba, and she is forced to disengage from combat. However, the Mesudaya still remains. Generally, 3 cruisers are relative to 1 dreadnought, but the disparity between the Frontier Sovereign Navy's martial ability outclasses the Loa severely. So Alari Okoto Delai makes a break for it and steams forward in full retreat. Smelling blood in the water, Admiral Lynn Bentham orders the Mesudaya to give chase in full pursuit. The support cruisers of Nirvana's Revenge fleet hold at long range and make the path very difficult for the games machine as they rout. It seems that the Frontier Sovereign Navy's plasma focus capacitors make a difference, as human vessels have a slight edge on the Loa fleet. Even though the Alari gets away, he is never seen again in this system, as it falls shortly after this battle. Another glorious campaign for the sovereignty of man. This war is all but over if fortune continues to favor mankind in this way. Maybe in the next episode, the sovereign political party diplomats should begin conditions of peace. Having other matters to attend to momentarily, however, it is obvious that the imperial spectrum of the sovereignty has things well in hand. Huzzah! Sovereign diplomats celebrate throughout the realms as their labor bears abundant fruit. Longtime enemies of mankind, the Moriggi Tuathal of Jade Wing, agreed to non-aggression with sovereign interests. Furthermore, a full alliance with the Sleepless is secured. Hallelujah. Mankind has long time been fighting every species in the galaxy, tooth and nail, sometimes several of them at once, sometimes all of them at once. Imperialists, though, have to concede the validity to the sovereign dream of a united union of galactic species, with the sovereignty of man standing in the forefront. All the great Liir admirals come forth in the signing of this pact. From left to right, we have Lilal, Mono, the most feared admiral of all, Omun, Lor, Ube, Onir. Let us discuss about some of the internal affairs within the sovereignty during this time. Austerity is nothing new to the sovereignty of man, and consistent warfare gives the average citizen socialist political leanings. However, overall, governance remains centrist in practice. Advances in military science continue at a steady pace, with safety and protection at the forefront of scientific focus. Citizens feel a certain pride knowing that the sovereign vessels are built to protect their sons and daughters in the line of duty. One of the lessons taught by War with the Games Machine is the need for heavily armed fighter drones and planetary assault vehicles. It is a relatively easy research path, and ways to manufacture these crafts is soon achieved. Although at this time these methods cannot be implemented due to the sovereignty's overall financial situation. While it holds steadily and has solid GDP growth, the budget remains in a deficit. This is due to the growing vastness of the sovereignty's territory and lackluster effort to remedy the problem during this period of time. New planets become available as the Loa Sea territory. Here is a system almost perfectly suitable for human life. To help with the supply conditions, a new outpost has to be created in a world seized in Beta Hydri. It is named Pa Humanica, and in the spirit of a time when mankind can be at peace. This is a common saying among the Sleepless society. The devoted must be destroyed. The sovereigns learn that since this mantle has been placed on mankind through circumstance, and also that the fact is the sovereignty of man has stepped up to it, has a great positive effect in Sleepless society, from Liir to Prester alike. The devoted have also stepped up their game as well. As you can see, the nature of combat is visceral, brutal, as projectiles are launched in mass along phalanx. Often, it is just a stand-up shootout, with the Sulka and the Central Sovereign Navy standing face-to-face in close-quarters combat. Boarding action is commonplace as well. Sulka battles are fanatical in nature, never backing down or retreating. Lord Akaria is an excellent tactician. He keeps his lines tight, he moves his fleet in formation, and he concentrates his firepower on single targets. Central Sovereign Navy vessels find their defenses easily overwhelmed because of this. A veteran admiral, Freya Reynolds, knows all too well the order of battle when confronting Lord Akaria. She has seen this before, as she has fought many a Sulka lord. She is well respected in the Central Sovereign Navy circles, and her fleet is directly named after her. She refused to be the Lord Admiral back in the day, and kept her rank of Rear Admiral, stating that only one Lord Admiral should exist at any given time. That title belongs to Talanaeus, so her men and women that are under her command liken her to a Valkyrie or an ancient goddess of human antiquity. On the battlefield, however, she is about as real and gritty as you can get. She understands fully the rigors of battle, stands steadfast in the face of impending mortality. She stays in the fight until it is finished, and countless sovereign citizens have been saved due to her unrelenting courage. It is too bad we have not given her more recognition in recent past videos. This is the last battle she fights in, and is one of the most direct gunslinging battles fought by the Central Sovereign Navy. No sovereign vessels are lost or civilians killed, although it does not go unnoticed that devoted cruisers have significantly more fighting power than in the past. Nor are they interested in slaves or raids. The Sulka now fight like they are possessed. This concerns the CSNC, which is the Central Sovereign Navy Command, to a great extent. Rear Admiral Freya Reynolds opens an inquiry on why Lord Akaria's battle cruisers were so effective in the recent defense. Spies within the devoted society discover that a new projectile has recently been developed, and it has the ability to negate the newest advances in human armor, methods, and materials. Zul's society has finished some ritual Ep6 and in a new quest to make room for what they deem to be the elder gods. Somehow the Liir are similar to these elder gods, thus the schism that brought the Sleepless the Prester Zul. Since mankind has allied with the false gods, the devoted make it their divine duty to rid the galaxy of the false disciples, namely mankind. They are willing to sacrifice themselves in this fanatical ideal. Thus, the war with the devoted has truly turned into a jihad. Lord Arcaria lost his Node Ripper board cruiser in his engagement with Rear Admiral Freya Reynolds. Without this specialized cruiser, Sulka fleets have a hard time navigating interstellar. Thus, Admiral Artemis Chow of the Sword of Providence fleet lay in wait at the star system of Broward with the pride of the Central Sovereign Navy, the battleship Dreadnought Classic 1. This impressive dreadnought is the standard prototype all other dreadnoughts follow,
and it has been refit to match Sulka firepower. Therefore, it is projectile heavy and only lightly armed in the way of beam weapons. It is essentially a super gunship, and it stands toe-to-toe with any Sulka battle group. It seems that Lord Arcaria's fleet came into this battle in really bad shape. Yet this Sulka fleet is comprised of fanatical zealots. So as the Central Sovereign Navy battleship stands off before the devoted fleet, Lord Arcaria descends upon the human dreadnought like a hungry hyena towards a lion. Engaging in close quarters combat between each vessel, there is no chance that any shot fired can really miss. So it is really just a slugfest. Yet no amount of maneuvering can counter the fact that the Devoted's fleet cannot stand before the heavy guns of Classic 1. Admiral Artemis Chow has everything lined up. Planetary ballistic missiles rain upon the Devoted without mercy. Yet Lord Arcaria does not break, burning and dying within their vessels as they turn into confidence from the overwhelming firepower of the Sword of Providence's fleet. It is realized by Admiral Cho that they will fight to the last man. So great is the Sulka's hunger, their wrath, and the devotion to their cause. The captain of the Classic Ones stares directly into the bridge of a Sulka cruiser, only to see pure devotion within the eyes of his enemy. Visceral agony, unadulterated pain, and blind wrath assault the psyche of every member within the Sword of Providence fleet. The Devoted as a species are both psionic and telepathic. Some say within the Central Sovereign Navy inner circles that winning a battle destroys the flesh of the Zul, but destroys the minds of the men who smote them as well. Faith with unshakable will alone cannot win battles. Soon, Sulka vessels begin to explode and disintegrate before the sheer reality of the bombardment thrown at them. So, as is inevitable, the Devoted die into the void as the Central Sovereign Navy butcher the Sulka fleet. Lord Arcaria was not among the dead, however. He leaves the dying of his kind on the battlefield and escapes. So this allows the Central Sovereign Navy to track his interstellar flight trajectory, and Sovereign spies soon discover a system base of operations within Sulka territory. The Central Sovereign Navy is a whole different animal from the Frontier Sovereign Navy. Central Sovereign Navy military members tend to be gritty and emotional, and the officers are brooding and contemplative. There is a certain set of eyes, quote unquote, that identifies anyone who has experienced battle with the Devoted. This would pretty much describe anyone within the Central Sovereign Navy. Second, Lady Admiral Tala Linnaeus completely embodies the spirit of the Central Sovereign Navy. Let us finish this episode with her continued struggle to defend redemption with the Terra Nova colonial fleet. Redemption is a world in the outermost fringes of sovereignty territory, and it is difficult to get supplies, materials there from Central Command. This problematic situation is compounded by the fact that the Devoted continue to send inquisitions to purge the human heretics from this world. The citizens of Redemption are hardworking, with a great sense of austerity, and this gives the planet a great degree of self-sufficiency. Always in the past, the Lady Admiral has protected this world, and here again, the Terra Nova colonial fleet answers the call of duty. Inquisitor Chan Vatai, the Inflicted, is a grotesque product of bioengineering and soul reaving. Soul reaving is a name given by sovereign citizens to those unfortunate who have been captured by the Zul. then have their consciousness ripped from their bodies and added within the hell of the devoted Zul creature own consciousness. When the body loses its soul, it becomes comatose, not dead. Then pieces of flesh that are essential become harvested and grafted to the host, Zuka. Like the Cthulhu of mythology, this profane fetish of the devoted is crushing to the mind of most mankind. This and many other reasons are why these creatures are considered to be nothing less than demons themselves. You may have noticed that the plasma torpedo cruiser Calchas has just exploded, and the battleship Richmond is in full retreat. Earlier in the episode, spies warned of the devoted developing high-energy armor-piercing projectiles, or heat rounds. This new weapon employed in concentrated, overwhelming fire proves effective against human naval defenses, something the Sovereign Navy is well renowned for. This is of great concern to the Central Sovereign Navy Command and to Lord Admiral Tala Linnaeus, as death in this battle is a blessing to the fate of those who are unfortunate to not quite die before the Inquisitor. Everyone of Redemption knows that reinforcements are not coming, and there will be no replacements. The citizens rally for the Lady Admiral, repairing the Richmond and finding a reserve picket cruiser, Chattanooga. In earlier episodes, the Chattanooga was a bioweapon cruiser, but after her destruction, it was recommissioned at Seoul shipyards and sent to Redemption. There, it sat in reserve and lay forgotten until this day. Although the SMS Chattanooga fights with valor, the devoted Inquisition fleet dispatches of her in the same manner as the Calchas, sending the Richmond once again into full retreat. In the background, you just lay witness to the SMS Chattanooga exploding. This scene is the hopeless struggle of the SMS Richmond trying desperately to hold the line, though that desperation is now turning into fear, which begins to shake the foundation of the Terra Nova colonials as well as the citizens of Redemption. For if the Richmond is destroyed and cannot stop the Inquisitor, nothing will stop the Inquisition of the devoted. All know that if this happens, death will be your only salvation, and you will not receive it. A miracle happens as the SMS Richmond flees imminent destruction. The spirit and fire of Second Lady Admiral Linnaeus rises again, as in the days of old. With a bold maneuver, she charges with the SMS Attilio Regalo headlong into the Inquisitor Chavitai's fleet. The temptation and trophy of consuming the Lady Admiral's soul overtakes the Inquisitor. This allows the Richmond to retreat in good order. It works, and drives the Inquisition from the star system. For now. So we have come to the end of the episode. What is this? The Flying Dutchman? Yes, indeed it is. And here it is attacking the planet Stellaris. After almost 700 turns, this ghost ship from the future of mankind still runs amok within the stars, though analysts say that it is not as powerful as it once might have been. It seems that the scars and damage from the past never get repaired. Ha! It is still unstoppable to this day, and it just doesn't cause as much destruction as before. I guess that's what it means to be old. Central Sovereign Navy Command marvel at this vessel. Just think, someday mankind will make a ship of this caliber. That day's not today, however. Nor is this the end of our time in this universe. As always, I hope this episode brings joy to you as you watch with me the struggles of our kind within this dimension. Opening this portal to view inside is a great expression to me. I truly hope you join us again as we continue the journey of the sovereignty of man in the Sword of the Stars, End of Flesh.